Hi everyone, I'm so pleased to have Gundula Deutschlander from Babylonstoren with us today. We are so excited to have you. Be very familiar with all your social media on the Babylonstoren platform, and we can't wait to hear from you today. So I'm just going to hand over to you straight away just for a bit of an introduction.
Mm. I am very happy to be a gardener here at Babylonstoren. I consider myself as the mother of the garden because I've been here 18 years since the real development for the garden, and it's been a really interesting journey. I'm also delighted to be a gardener at my own home. So I drink, eat, sleep, dream gardens all the time, and it makes me so happy.
Amazing. Okay, so on to our first question. What led you to become such an expert on so many natural wellness practices within the garden, and what drives you to keep going in this domain?
Expert is like, it's quite a big word term. I was fortunate as a child, my father being German, he would often make us herbal tea. And I think that was my introduction in a very everyday circumstances to just be exposed to the value of herbs. Um, and initially, I planted herbs here to heal the space and the garden itself because it really was a rubbish dump. And
Yeah.
so the herbs had a really important role just to improve the fertility of the soil. Um, And with time, we created a healing garden. And with the company growing, that we now have 700 permanent workers, there's very often somebody coming to us for a little bit of assistance and support. And they don't mind being guinea pigs. So
Yeah.
I really make sure that I'm not a doctor. And I think for serious ailments, it's really important to see somebody who's a proper practitioner with natural herbs. They spend years of studying. But I'm very fortunate to have this incredible treasure chest of plants that we can use without it costing much and having a pretty quick effect. So yeah, we're just really lucky. And with me reading a lot because I'm a very curious person and again, using things daily, it just gives us the confidence to be able to share with people knowing that it might just be supportive and helping.
That's incredible. Okay, let's chat about using your garden as a medicine cabinet. Why is it so important and fun, and how can you get started without feeling overwhelmed?
I think anybody can start with just a couple of pot plants, and even if you don't have an outside garden, you can even try things on your windowsill. Um, so that's what I love about gardening. Everybody has their own space, and you can fulfill it
Yeah.
whichever way is best suited to you.
Mm.
Um, when one gets started by actually having plants, I think it's important to know that some herbs are annuals. Your basil, your coriander, all the soft herbs will only last for the summer season. And then you start again. And sometimes people get really frightened because they think, I can't keep things alive when actually you're meant to eat it within a very short period. And then other plants like rosemary that I love, and I think almost anybody can grow rosemary easily in a
Yeah.
pot or outside by the back door. Just keeps on going for years and years if you treat it well. So just a little bit of sunshine and sufficient water, depending on the age of the plant, will just keep it going. I also think a lot of herbs enjoy being harvested. So if you harvest properly, it will allow for longevity. And so you really should start with the herbs that you rely on and need, whether it's to add rosemary to your braai, which is fantastic for cholesterol and everything else to go with it, or whether it's your basil that you can't live without if you have a tomato salad. Just choose the
Yes.
herb that you adore, and that means that you'll take care of it. Um, yeah, and have a look around your house. Where is the plant happy? If it's in a pot, move it around. Also, according to the season, sometimes where is the sun sufficient, and how often will you remember to give it water, and not to
Exactly.
overwater. So yeah, that's the basics.
Okay, perfect. What are your thoughts on wellness and nature, the link between the two, and the fact that not enough of us are turning to nature as a form of sort of remedy?
Nature is is everything, really. It's what makes us human. Yeah, nature can be wild and scary, lions and things like that. But it's what brings us back to ourselves, and there is no um, criticism, really. It's where you can have the opportunity to flourish if you need to. I think what helps is that you realize that you're just a small cog in the whole big universe. Um, it really allows for perspective. Um, so just in terms of the whole spiritual activity of being out in nature, it just allows for fullness. But to physically get dirty and to get muck between your fingernails, we know
Yes.
gives you the bacteria that also is beneficial. So it's the wonderful balance between physical activity, getting vitamin D, sunshine, hearing the birds, and actually just having your own adventure
Mm.
and allowing you to fulfill your own specific path that all of us have. Nature's there to hold your hand along the way.
That's beautiful.
That's
Mm.
beautiful.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so let's unpack using the senses to regulate the nervous system. What can one grow to use the sense of smell to bring in calmness, regularity, and a sense of grounding?
The immediate thought is lavender because it is so soothing. But now during springtime, we have the orange blossoms in flower, and they're just the best for anti-anxiety. So I think this week the roses started. I adore them. I think all these spring flowers that we have flourishing at the moment, honeysuckle, jasmine, you name it, you just like fill up your lungs, and it just
Yeah.
is soothing instantaneously. Um, so you're asking much more about the sense of scent.
Yes.
Yeah. Um, I find it remarkable that one doesn't necessarily have to ingest something, that really just through smelling something, it has such a good effect on one. I was actually yesterday doing some research on a herb mugwort, and the herbal practitioner was saying she wants to have, it allows for lucid thoughts. So she was going to drink copious amounts of tea to have her clear thinking, and it didn't work. But there was another time when she was drying some herbs in her house, and she was having these beautiful clear thoughts. And so
Oh, wow.
it's phenomenal how those chemicals that are airborne and that
Mm.
link between your nose and your brain just really hits the spot. So in terms of carving, just lavender is a very good go-to. Um, but it's nice to diversify because some people, when they smell lavender, just think instantaneously of their grandmother, and it's not always a good experience. I have a good experience, but it's not the same for everybody. And the sense of scent is very personal because it is linked to memory. So I think people should go and find their own journey of what really is connected to a specific time period they had, or go find something new in a beautiful environment like a garden that has that connection for you that will allow you to just click into that wonderful calm state.
Absolutely. Okay, perfect. In one of your Babylonstoren reels, you were making up a turmeric concoction for the dogs. You were talking about anti-inflammatory properties and healing for skin irritations. How does this work for adults, and what's the best way to ingest it?
Hmm. I initially started using turmeric myself. I find it is generally phenomenal with inflammation. So whether the inflammation is between your bones or some injury that you've had, or then overreacting as a rash on the skin, it's it has enormous amount of benefits, but anti-inflammatory is the one that it normally is best known for. It's also very purifying. So you might have seen that in India for weddings, they would use a lot of yellow turmeric, just cover the bride and groom completely with turmeric because it's a symbol of purity. It's almost like the herbal equivalent of gold in a way. So really antifungal, antibacterial, anti everything. The easiest way, and the tea that I made this morning is turmeric that I bash with the back of my knife, just the small piece that I've cut off. I use double to almost 3 times the amount of ginger that I again bash because you want to break open the cells when you pour the boiling water over it. And I generally add something zingy like lemongrass, maybe a little bit of cardamom. And I find that a very uplifting, very energizing tea that I enjoy regularly because it's pretty easy to make.
It sounds delicious. Okay, perfect. So you grow milk thistle in the liver bed. What is the story behind this, and what are the benefits, and what else do you grow in the bed?
The milk thistle is a beautiful plant. It's really a handsome plant. It's a thug of a weed. So I actually struggle to get it growing in the garden because we don't have a wasteland in the garden. It's almost too good for it to live there. And I have seen it in the fields where it grows like taller than my head with these wonderful milky veins across the leaf. The thistly bit is not what you want to take. You want to actually wait for the seeds to ripen in that lovely thistle flower. And those seeds have actually a pretty good nutty taste to them. So whereas everything else in my liver bed has a very bitter taste, it's really kind of obvious that it will work with detoxing. The milk thistle is much more a supportive herb. So there's a difference in how you would address liver condition. Is it that you want to detox with overindulgence, or do you just want to support to make sure that you improve with your health and allow for your digestive system to work properly? And milk thistle I find to be the latter. It's much more helping to restore the liver and to keep it going, that it functions properly. Yeah, it's really important. The liver is an essential part of the body. For yeah, well, it's a vital part just for the digestion and to make sure that your hormonal balance is also correct. So it's beautiful now and again to use something like milk thistle, which I prefer things in the raw form. I know one gets capsules to drink, and it's something that I would normally collect the seed and then grind it down, keep some in the fridge, and then sprinkle onto my food or porridge as needed. But it's readily available in shops too, so one can use it in any form you want, but you don't have to. If you're tired of swallowing tablets and pills, one can actually open up the capsule and sprinkle it on your food because it actually has a pretty good taste.
Perfect. And what else grows in the liver bed with the milk
Ha!
thistle?
Dandelion. Dandelion is a remarkable plant. It really is almost a cure-all. You can use the entire plant of the dandelion, but it's the root that has the main bitter taste and the ability to help detox the liver. But I just love the dandelion for its courage that it presents. That's like the courage, yes, you're going to get better. That's what it really provides. I also have Artemisia, which in the Artemisia family I adore. We have one that's called southernwood, which is quite alluring in its perfume. And yeah, but I think our southernwood is a plant from southern Mediterranean area, and I would think that the Wilde Alswis, which is Artemisia afra, does exactly the same. And that's a nice indigenous plant that we can use as a liver support and total body immunity protection. It's a marvelous plant.
That's incredible. Okay, you recently had a lovely spring moment making citrus blossom and jasmine teas. What benefits do these two plants have? And are there any other flowering plants that we can make tea from?
I am very much a flower fairy. I don't often like to label myself as a fairy, but I can see during springtime, I just like bounce around. It's like there's so much work, but you just have this wonderful elevated vibe that just keeps you going. And I drink a lot of flower teas. Um, I love the citrus blossom on their own, but also with a little bit of honeybush. It's beautiful and really works for anti-anxiety. Jasmine functions in a similar way, but I actually love using jasmine for an ice cream that I make every year springtime. That's really heavenly.
Delicious.
And I, yeah, gorgeous. I often drink rosebud. So roses in any form, as long as they've not been sprayed. I will have dried rose petals. I'll have fresh. Sometimes I would add a little bit of the rose pelargonium if I don't have enough. But you'll notice actually in tasting that they all have slightly different taste. Um, and so the rose is slightly more astringent. It's not necessarily as beautiful as the rose perfume, but it works very well for tonic and it's particularly useful for toning um, tissues as well as muscles and very helpful for women to make sure that they have good cycle. Um,
Oh,
ah, yeah. And of course the rose is for the heart too. Yeah, that's
yes.
beautiful. I could carry on with drinking flowers all the time. One that I grow often is also anise hyssop because it's crazy sweet. If you want something sweet, the anise hyssop flower, teeny little purple flower, and I just nibble it, and it's like a sugar bomb. It's so cute.
Oh, wow.
Hmm.
Okay, perfect. Let's chat about your thoughts on creativity and imagination and their importance in mental health, especially in today's heavily tech-focused world. So I'm actually relating this to your reel where you collected willow branches and constructed them into beautiful pieces. So kind of tying nature and art to bring joy.
Being a gardener, we're very fortunate because there's always practical challenges, and then you look around to see what do you have that can help. So the moment we're
Yeah.
sowing beans, and again, I will need a structure similar to the willow structure to allow things to climb in. And then I will have a look to see, well, what plant material can I use? Um, it's creating something sculptural, but at the same time, I know I'm going to create scaffold shade that I can grow certain herbs in that will not cope with strong light. So I'm always looking at a very creative solution to a practical problem. And the more challenges you have, and almost the less um, the limit you have almost on your finances often allows you to be more creative.
Yes,
Um,
resourceful.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, just think out of the box. And the other thing with being in a garden, you're really creating a safe space. And there are very few safe spaces in our lives where you're allowed to play. And we're very serious about things. But it's only in play that you can make mistakes and find solutions that actually aren't fresh and might work. So I think it's really, really to observe and see what nature does. This willow tunnel that you speak of, we didn't necessarily know that they were going to grow into each other and get married in that fashion. Um, but it's through observing that we now have been playing with some of the other fruit trees that we encourage this marriage that we've seen with the willow. Some of our quince trees we've done in that way. So you learn through doing one thing and then you apply it again where it makes sense. It's just
Little
so much fun.
nature experiments. Yeah. Okay. Let's chat about preventative and protective plants like the Cape Sour fig. I think you mentioned it was almost like a vitamin. Tell us about these amazing plants that boost our immune system.
so many of our herbs will indicate with their taste what they're good for. So the sour fig is astringent, and similar to the rose that I spoke of, will actually help to tighten and tone your tissues. So it helps. Well, actually, it's always useful to have a look. How does a plant grow in its natural environment? And the Cape sour fig is very common on our beaches, growing on dunes, and so it is for erosion control. And the same thing as how it protects these dunes, allowing other plants to then, grow amongst it. It does the same protective ability on my skin. So that astringent juice I would apply to my skin if I have had sunburn, and it will help to seal and protect the moisture inside. If I chew it and I suck those juices, it will tighten my mucous membranes all the way down to my bladder. So it really helps with sore throats, intestinal or what into your guts if you need a little bit more protection, your guts, bladder infection. It's beautiful how it really tells you in its natural form what it can do to us ourselves. And so, yeah, different herbs, depending on whether they're sweet, which is more supportive, nutritive, bitter, which is your liver, the sour, of course, your vitamin C, astringent, those tastes will guide you in how they help.
It's
Well, I
incredible.
think South Africa's best immune supportive plant has to be the cancer bush. That starts off as a really bitter taste of the leaf, and once you swallow it, you get this slight sweet licoricey taste. That's to tell you that it is an adaptogenic, which means it really helps to support your entire immune system. And so you won't have lots all the time because you'll take it when you need it. And that, yeah, if one learns these little tips, these guidelines, how to read the herbs, then you will know better how to apply.
That's a great tip. Um, oh, here's another one. You've created a myrtle tea for phlegmy coughs. I think you also used sage and thyme in another reel. Um, you should definitely bring out a book with all these tea and tonic remedies. How does one start incorporating these, and where does one start? Is there maybe a rule of thumb?
Mm-hmm. It's I think, like we spoke earlier, it's easiest to make a cup of tea because I think it's very reassuring and comforting, and it's almost also in the practice of making a cup of tea for yourself or somebody else you're caring for to get into that ritual of care. Um, and then usually what we do is take, if you're making tea, for example, the same length as your finger length, that size of sprig of herbs is what you would use per cup.
The dose.
I often would use maybe 2 or 3 herbs, not necessarily too many herbs in one kind of cup or dose. And I would choose similar herbs. For example, the sage, thyme, and myrtle, they all work with cough. They all warming and antimicrobial, antibacterial. So they work very well together. If I was making a sleepy time tea, I would use, again, often 3 herbs. It might be your chamomile, teeny bit of lavender, and your lemon balm. And they all are almost, again, holding hand to help with the process. So it's actually very, very simple, and you can use fresh herbs or dried herbs. Usually you'd have more fresh herbs because as herbs dry, they shrivel up and become more desiccated. And so a teaspoon should be sufficient of a dried herb, and then nice fresh length of your finger for the fresh.
Love that. Okay, perfect. And the last question is, what are your top 3 herbs in the garden that have amazing healing properties? And what should we be planting at the moment as we head towards summer?
I love the cancer bush, but it doesn't grow in everybody's garden. It's really something that likes living in the wild. So things that I would encourage people to grow at home, definitely for so many problems is the wilde-als, which is Artemisia afra. It's a very strong, resilient herb. You can have it in a pot or growing in the garden, doesn't matter. But one should start using it with caution, because if you're not used to it, you really just want one little leaf in a cup of tea. Or if I always joke, because a very easy way of getting clean nasal passages and sinus issues, which is great for hay fever time, is actually rolling up a leaf and just putting it into your nostril. Very basic, but it does the job. And actually, when I ever fly in airplanes, I often plug my nostril and then wear a mask just to keep me safe. Yeah, but I think I have so many favorites. It's really hard to choose. Now that we're approaching summer, basil in any form works wonders. It's just delicious.
Yes. Okay, perfect. And what should we be planting in time for summer? Or maybe it's a bit late
Well,
already.
no, you're right. So the annuals that are summer annuals, your basil, your coriander, these are all digestive herbs that you won't necessarily make tea of, but you can have it in your food. Um, yeah, so I would definitely, anything that you want wonderful summer flowers of are great now. Um, and then, yeah, the short-lived annual summer herbs are brilliant to get planted right now, so that before the intense heat of summer, they have already put some roots out.
Okay, fabulous. That sounds amazing. Okay, great. So, are there any upcoming events? I know you did mention to me there's workshops and quite a few things coming up. Do you want to
Yes,
chat through them?
I have every Tuesday I do a herb tour at Babylonstoren. That's at 11:30. Um, we will just walk for about 40 minutes and we'll just touch base on various herbs and weeds that are very useful. Um, and then, oh, next month I have a healing herb workshop, which really gives you different techniques on how to extract the medicinal properties from herbs. I enjoy that one. And I know there are quite a few. Um, on our
Okay, all
website, if it's beautiful, because on the website, I've got a good list until December. I think one of my second last ones is the lavender essential oil workshop, which we actually, I want to show you. We will walk up to our lavender field. So just have a look here. Not sure if you can see at the back there, but right there, you see under the Babylonstoren copy, that's where we
yes.
actually do our essential oil, and we've got some wonderful herbs there. Thank you for the panoramic. Um, and that's a whole different experience. So we'll see how the distilling takes place of the lavender and how one can use it best. So I have right throughout the year, I can have these stepping stones of herbs to be used as a tea that you want to drink, or maybe that you want to smell the perfume, or more the historical context of using herbs. So there's a wide range to select from.
That's amazing. Okay, perfect. So I think the best place for people to reach you, to join you, would be definitely the website, and then through the social media as well. I know, like, I normally see your reels on Instagram and Facebook. Is there anywhere else?
No, I'm not personally on any of those platforms, but I'm happy
Yes,
to
so
do it for work.
Babylonstoren.
So,
Yes.
yeah, you can just grab an information I'm sprinkling out. But if you would like to email, it's gundula@babylonstoren.com, and then I could help if possible.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for joining us today. It's been so amazing having you.
Thanks for your interest, and I encourage everybody to try their luck in gardening. And as you say, just, kicking off your shoes and getting barefoot in the garden, there's nothing like
Exactly.
it. Yeah. Thank you.